Alright, so good morning everyone. This time we'll be discussing about the first ever lesson in general mathematics, which is on representing real-life situations using functions. I'll be introducing myself to you first. I'm your teacher, Christian Boy D. Cacho. So before we start, let us first discuss the lesson objectives of this topic. At the end of the lesson, the learner is able to first define and differentiate function and relations, followed by use and evaluate a graph with the vertical line test and represent real-life situations using functions. Let's start with the first objective. What is a function? According to www.byju's.com, a function is a relation which describes that there should be only one output for each input. Let's explain this on the succeeding slide. Okay, when we say input and output, input refers to the domain or the values of x or the independent variables, while output refers to the range or the values of y or the dependent variable. What does this mean in the real life situation? When we say x is independent, it does not depend alone on someone to live or to exist, while y needs someone to exist. Okay, for this time, x values exist while y values does not, because x is independent while y is the dependent one. How about relation? What is a relation? According again to www.byju's.com, a relation is a subset of the Cartesian product or simply a bunch of point or ordered pairs. When do we usually see ordered pairs? We usually see them on the Cartesian plane. Anything, any grid line or any point intersection there, those represent relation. But there should be one specific rule for us to tell if they represent a function or not. So let us apply the rule of thumb later. By this time, let us discuss first the how to represent or the representation of functions or relations. We have three representation of function or relations here. Let's start with the table of values and the graphing. After that, mapping. Let's go to the first table of values. There is a question here. Is this a function or not? That's a question we should answer. But how are we going to answer that? I'll teach you the shortcut, alright? You have to listen carefully. The shortcut here is if there is no repetition on the x values, then that is a function. Otherwise, it's not function. Let's take a look with the numbers or the digits here on x column. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Question. Is there a repetition there? There is none. So this is a function. Next, graphing. Is this a function or not? First, we can do this manually. Next, we can do this shortcut. All right. But first, I have to teach you the manual one. Here, you have to name each point with their ordered pairs. Later, using their ordered pairs, take a look if there is repetition of x or not. Let's start with point G. It's 2, 5. X here is 2, while y is 5. Point M, we have 2, -3.75. Point H, -1 and 4. Point L, -1 and -3. As you can see, there is repetition of x values here. Therefore, we can say that this is not function, of course. Followed by mapping. Mapping is talks about the correspondence between x and y, or relationship between x and y using an arrow. We have here two arrows, blue and red. Let's start with the first one. 1 corresponds to 1. Next, 2 corresponds to 1. 2 corresponds to 3. And lastly, 2 corresponds to 2. Let's stop there, as we can already call this if this is a function or not. There is a repetition, yes or no? Yes, there is a repetition of values in x, which is the value 2, or the digits number 2. Okay, so therefore we can say that this is not a function. More, which one here illustrates a function? Again, applying shortcut. Group A and Group B. Do we have a repetition in Group A? Answer, none. Very good. Therefore, that is a function. How about B? Yes, there is, which is -2. Therefore, we can say that this is a function in Group B for Group B. Next, how about this? Of course, you already know that Group A here is not function, so you can go easily on Group B. But think we can discuss this. You can name the point with their ordered pairs and later see if there is a repetition of x. But mind you, there is no repetition of x here. Therefore, B is a function. Last, how about this? Using correspondence or mapping. So, in group B, you can see group B, meron tayong paulit-ulit na digit dito. Repetition in the digit or the value of 5. X values number 5. Therefore, we can say that B is not function, while here A is a function. Very good. Okay, now, relation versus function. Which do you think is the relationship of the two? 30 seconds time? Assuming that the time is over. Okay, assuming that the time is over. Okay, we can say that all functions are relations, but not all relations are functions. Let's go back on what I've discussed a while back. All things that you see outside in your or surround the things that surrounds you represents relation. We don't know what relation those are. Those can be positive, negative relation, inverse relationship, but some of them represents function. Let's apply the rule of thumb. If there is no repetition of x, then that is a function. If the function, if we can say that this is a function if we have one-to-one correspondence or many-to-one correspondence only. All right. Let's proceed with the vertical line test. The vertical line test talks about the shortcut in graphing. A relation is a function if there are no vertical lines that intersects the graph relation in more than one point. So easily we can say that the graph represents a function applying the vertical line test. How? If the vertical line touches the graph at 2 points, then that is not function, or 2 or more points, that is not function. While if it intersects the graph at 1 point only, then that's function. Let's take a look with this. All right. So we are going to draw here a vertical line through that will intersect this. So we have here vertical lines, a vertical line. How many times that this line touch the graph? From this point and to this point, all right. That point and that point. Therefore, it touched the graph at 2 distinct points. We can say that this is not function. Next. All right. How about this? Let's draw a vertical line. Whether you move the vertical line up or down, it will touch the graph at 1 point, mind you. This is an example of a cubic function. Next. Represents real-life situations using functions. Now, I have here a GIF to show you. What does this GIF illustrate? Illustrates the salary you earn. All right. How are we going to apply functions on the salary you earn? We have here, the more time you work, the higher your salary. Our input here is time. The more time you input to your work, the higher your salary. What specific situation we will apply this over time? Okay, next. Studies. Some of you might say that the more time I review, the higher my grades would be. That is not true to some researchers, because some researchers say that the more time the students review, the more time their mind might be clogged or cognitive load, something like that. So I just have here a solution, the one posted by Victor Silva last April 21, 2020. It talks about students' motivation, wherein students' motivation here is the output, and the factors that influence students' motivation in study or in education are as follows: class and curriculum structure, teacher behavior, etc., until assessment. These things, if we input to students, then the students might get motivated to learn. So that's what I mean by that. How about this? Talks about. All right, so we have here L, O, V, and E. Okay, so we talked here about love. How about love? What is input there? What is output there? Let's start first with the output. What do you want in love? What output do you want in love? You want to have the best relationship ever. For you to have the best relationship ever, you must have to input something, input values or something that when we put them together, we can maintain a best relationship. Let's say trust, faithfulness, understanding, and respect. Big word, respect. Lahat yan, those are ingredients for a best relationship. May forever kayo dito. Alright? So by this time, it's your turn to give your own real-life examples using functions and explain them. Why? Okay, so this is my time to say goodbye. If you have questions, just message me or just chat me or just tweet or just comment on my YouTube channel below. Okay, bye bye.